Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Nada Yada Island.
I knew I deserved so much more, so I left. I finally switched to Metro and got what I was looking for.
Get one line for only $25 a month with AutoPay. Just bring your phone to Metro and experience all the data you want on the largest 5G network. That's Nada Yada Yada, only at Metro by T-Mobile.
First month is $30. Bring your number and ID. Offer not available if with T-Mobile or with Metro in the past 180 days. When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
At Sierra, you'll always find apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. But right now, it's clearance time, so you can save even more on everything you need to get active and outside. Visit your local Sierra store today.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your daily reminder that the Reds are in fact top of the league. And doing Liverpool things. So yesterday, I surmised on this podcast that if Khvicha Kvaratskhelia was available, that maybe we should move some pieces around and go and get him in this window. And within an hour of that podcast going out, David Ornstein reported that Liverpool have an active interest in Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. That was then confirmed by Paul Joyce and by David Lynch. And it would appear like Kvaratskhelia was probably a target for the summer, with the plan being to move Luis Diaz on because he's 28 coming up and has 2 years left in his deal after this one. And we don't seem to want to extend his contract. So we would move Diaz on and sign Kvaratskhelia. Seemed to be the plan. But now, because PSG have kind of sort of made a move, certainly isn't advanced like certain people were reporting, because we've had more reliable journalists come out and say, well, PSG can't actually afford him. They're just kicking the tires here to see what it would take to get him. And that looks like it sparked us into some action here. Now, Diaz is not going to be sold this month. I think we can be fairly certain of that. The most likely move for Diaz, or the one certainly that he would like, and the most prominent club that's been linked, is Barcelona. They can't buy him this month. Maybe in the summer, and maybe there's a deal to be made where a player goes back to us while Diaz goes to them. But Diaz looks pretty likely to stay the rest of the season. Number one, Arne Slot clearly likes him. He's playing very well. He's putting to shame all of those silly people that said Anthony Gordon was a better player than him, as Gordon stinks it up for Newcastle and Diaz thrives for us. So he wouldn't be the one to leave. But Darwin could be the one to leave. And there is rumoured interest from Saudi Arabia in Darwin Núñez, and apparently a very attractive wage packet that he might be interested in. So if we move Darwin out now, and let's say we sell Ben Doak as well, which it does seem we're very much open to, and there is interest in him. Let's say we get 60 million for Darwin and 20 million for Doak. Well, there's 80 million. That covers the cost of Kvaratskhelia. And the wages should be in and around the same type of situation. Might be a little bit more, but it's worth it for the upgrade. So now you're looking at it and saying, oh, well, now we've got 3 left wingers. But Diaz is playing more as a 9 in recent weeks. Obviously started the season playing left wing, but he has been playing as a 9 recently over Darwin. Like, he's been preferred to Darwin as the 9. So it would mean we go to the end of this season with Khvicha and Gakpo as our left wing options, Diaz and Jota as our 9 options. We do also have a bit of a trump card in terms of negotiations with Napoli, which is that the player it's widely reported that they want is Federico Chiesa. And the whole Chiesa situation's been a little bit weird. I think we can all admit that. Like, there was the pre-season during the season that he had, which was understandable. But he's been back available for quite a while now, and he's barely featured. So, could it be that we use him as the trump card to get Khvicha? I think it makes sense. I think it's something everybody could get on board with. We haven't lost anything. It's not like he's contributed anything in the league or the Champions League. So you're not losing anything by letting him go. So if you have, for the rest of this season, Mo, Jota, Khvicha, Diaz, Gakpo as 5 starter quality players for 3 positions, you can absolutely make that work. You can absolutely make that work. Diaz can play through the middle or both wings. Gakpo can play through the middle or left wing. Jota can, in theory, play across the front line, though he's never been very good on the right, weirdly. Khvicha can play both wings. Mo can play right and through the middle. And Harvey Elliott, assuming he stays through this window, can also play on the right. So we'd be fine if we moved on Chiesa and Darwin in this window, if we dropped from 6 to 5 by losing those 2 and adding Khvicha. And obviously, Doak doesn't play for us this year, so selling him doesn't impact us either way. It just gives us money to spend. And you would imagine that moving on Chiesa and Darwin opens up an enormous salary slot there that Khvicha can fit nicely into. We also have a trump card when it comes to negotiating with Khvicha. Well, we have a couple. We've done most of the groundwork on this. He's a player we've been tracking for years. He's a player we had very strong interest in 2023. When Mo was going to go, wasn't. When Mo was subject of interest from Saudi Arabia, and the club said to Mo, it will be your decision if an offer comes in that's the price we want. Kvaratskhelia was one of the players they were looking to bring in. One of. But it wouldn't have been just him. It would have been him and somebody else. You don't replace Mo Salah with one player. So you'd imagine much of that groundwork is already done. That we know rough scale of what he's asking for. Now, obviously, we have a different manager now. But our new style of play suits him a lot more than the old style of play. He would have been great under Klopp. I think he can be a top 10 player in the world under Slot. Because of how Slot ideally wants to use that left winger as like a left-wing 10 hybrid, which we saw in the early part of the season, hasn't been as prominent recently because it's not really the game of Gakpo or Diaz. I think he could be unbelievable under Slot. But the troll card would be he's very good friends with Georgi Mamardashvili. Very, very good friends. And Mamardashvili would join Liverpool in June or July. I think it's July 1st. So the opportunity to come to a club, play with one of his best friends, have somebody from his own culture and his own country at the club with him, so he's not alone or isolated. I don't know how good his grasp of English is. I'd imagine it's not bad. Russians tend to be, and I know he's Georgian, but he played in Russia, grew up in kind of post-Soviet Russia, post-Soviet Georgia. So I would imagine he'll have a decent enough grasp of English, at least an understanding of it. But it will help having someone there who he can just converse with easily. Having him and Mo on the wings, we would have the two best wingers in the Premier League. Best right winger and the best left winger. And it wouldn't really be all that close on either side. So then we just need to buy Isak and have the best front three, each of the best positions. Because Isak is the best 9 in the league, isn't he? Like, he's a better footballer than Erling Haaland. Haaland's a better goal scorer, but as a footballer, Isak is a different level. The only issue with him is he does get injured. And Newcastle want 140 million for him, which it probably means he never leaves Newcastle. But Kvaratskhelia just makes a lot of sense for us as a deal to bring forward to now. Darwin has not worked out, and he's regressed enormously this season. Last season, he was showing lots of promising signs. He was showing improvement across the board, and this season, all of that is gone. Every bit of it is gone. He is worse now than he was when we signed him. So move him out, bring Khvicha in, and just use Diaz and Jota as the 9s, which you have been doing anyway, and we're just much better off. Much better off.
This is MLS and U.S. soccer commentator Brian Dunseth here to tell you the only podcast you need to fulfill your weekly soccer needs. It's Week in the Tackle.
And I'm Tom Rennie. We'll talk the Premier League title race, the Champions League, MLS expansionism, and the ongoing disappointments of our respective teams. It's all on Week in the Tackle.
Didn't your West Ham just win a European trophy?
Ah, that night in Prague. Sorry, what were we talking about?
A Week in the Tackle available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode.
And I know people are saying, oh, well, we need a left back, we need a centre back, we need a holding midfielder. I agree. We absolutely do. But here's the thing. At centre back, we have Virgil, Ibu, Gomez, Kwanzaa, and the manager seems to prefer Endo there to Endo in midfield. So in his eyes, he might look at it and think, well, I've got 5 and I've got a Maranello, so I'm all right there. So when he sits down with Edwards and Hughes and they talk about the needs in the squad, he might look at it and say, I think centre-back is okay for now. Now, if there's money there, after everything else has been done, yeah, great. But I don't think anybody at the club sees centre-back as a real priority right now. Left-back is the biggest issue in the defence. Without question. Left-back is a significant issue. The problem we have is Trent is holding everything up. Now, it's not to put blame on Trent. The Trent situation is holding everything up. Because if Trent is staying, they likely want one type of left-back. But if he's going, they might want a completely different type because they might buy a certain type of right-back. So, for example, if Trent is staying, they might look at it and say, okay, Trent is a ball-playing, attacking right-back who isn't always great defensively. We've got Ibu, we've got Virgil, but what we want to do is get a third elite defender in the back line. So we're going to buy Castello Lacaba, just for argument's sake. We're going to buy Lacaba, and he's the left back that we want in there. So that's brilliant. That's Trent, Ibu, Virgil, Lacaba. But if Trent goes, Lacaba mightn't make as much sense because Arne might prefer a more defensive right back like he had at Feyenoord, and then an attacking left back. So he might look at it then and say, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll go get Jules Koundé. We'll throw Diaz to Barca for Koundé. We'll take Koundé. There's our right back. And we'll buy Rayan Aït-Nouri, who's a ball-playing, attacking left back, a source of creativity. Because Trent and Aït-Nouri leaves us a little bit vulnerable defensively. As good and all as they'd be on the ball, Aït-Nouri has concentration issues. Now, Virgil probably solves most of that just by screaming at him. But you don't want Virgil going hoarse every game. He'll end up sounding like me. If I sound terrible, I do apologize. I'm not feeling very well. Aït-Nouri makes a ton of sense for us, but maybe not with Trent. Same with Kirkes. Because we don't have the same midfield makeup as we had under Klopp. People will say, oh, we had Trent and Robbo and they basically played as wingers. Yeah, but we had Fabinho and Gini in that team. Like a world-class holding midfielder and an exceptional athlete with one of the best footballing brains English football has seen in the last 30 years. Who could track runners, was positionally brilliant, was a transition killer for the opposition. Like teams couldn't counter us when Gini was in midfield. Because he was so quick and he read the game so well and he was so strong and he was so clever. We don't have that makeup in midfield. As good as Alexis is defensively, he's not very athletic. And Gravenberch is athletic. He's not very good defensively. He doesn't read things well. He doesn't anticipate things all that well. I know he gets a lot of interceptions. That's a shit stat. Please be serious. He's not a good defensive player. He's just not. And even if you bring in Zubimendi and Alexis is not going to kill transitions. They'll be really smart positionally, but they will get outrun sometimes. They will just get overrun sometimes. And if you have Trent and Aït-Nouri, then your centre-backs are going to be working double time. The same way our centre-backs were having to perform miracles through the early part of this season. Like, people seem to have forgotten that for the first 15 games of this season, well, probably 12 games of this season, up until Ibu got hurt, whenever that was, Ibu and Virgil were like 8 and 9 out of 10 every single week because they were having to be. Because they were having to do so much. Because they weren't getting protection from the midfield. So the left back thing needs the Trent thing to resolve itself before it can really be addressed. The holding midfield thing, like, you have to remember there's a limited number of players that could play for Liverpool Football Club. And of that limited number, some are going to be at clubs that are every bit as big and successful and rich and powerful as us. Others just simply will not be available in this window. Like Martin Zubimendi, I'm pretty certain his buyout clause is only a summer buyout clause. And Sociedad have been pretty clear that they just don't have any interest in selling him. If he wants to leave, he'll have to do the release clause thing. So what do you do there? If that's who they want, if who they want is Baliba, it may just be that Brighton will say, no, not now, come back to us in the summer. Like, they might be open to a sale, but again, you don't know. You just don't know. You know, there's limited options. There's a lot of really good defensive midfielders who'd improve us. But again, some of them are at clubs where, you know, they're our peers. And of the others who are left, then some of them just simply aren't available. Or they would be if you're willing to pay well over what they're worth, and we're just not going to do that, nor should we. Like, we shouldn't go to Brighton and throw 100 million at Carlos Baliba. He's not a £100 million player at this point in time. Like, consider where Caicedo was when he left Brighton. Baliba is not there. He's maybe 75% of it, with the potential absolutely to get to where Caicedo was at Brighton and is again now. He's the best midfielder in the league this season. Well, he's not there now. So you wouldn't go and pay 110 million for him. If you get him for 75, 80, great. Even then, that's still a little bit high for how little experience he has. But you'd pay that because of the promise. And maybe there is a deal to be struck there because, according to multiple outlets, they have significant interest in Harvey Elliott. So maybe there is a deal to be done with Brighton that works for everybody. But again, getting multiple big deals done in such a tight window can be difficult. Especially if you've got to sell some players as well to make these things happen. But either way, things are heating up a little bit. Now, it's Liverpool, so we may end up doing nothing. If Khvicha ends up staying at Napoli, there is a strong possibility we do nothing. But ultimately, if he is available, and if they're willing to sell now, it would be one of the most brainless things any club has ever done. They're top of the league. He's their best player. But if they're willing to sell now, and he's open to moving now, I think we might get him. I really do. I think we might get him. And while he doesn't solve the left-back situation or the holding midfield situation, he does improve the attack even further. And he could really propel us to a title and maybe even a Champions League win. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. There's been no dismissal of it. Arne Slot, said something like 99 times out of 100, these rumours aren't true. That means that once out of 100 times they are true. Obviously, tomorrow we have Accrington Stanley in the FA Cup. Look, it's a fun game. We should win. Even resting a lot of players. There's some lineup options suggested on This Is Anfield. They also have a fantastic piece chronicling the great milk ad from the late 80s, which is what Accrington Stanley were probably most famous for many, many years, was the Accrington Stanley Who Are They line. Looks likely that Trainiani will be involved again. Tyler Morton is a doubt with a rolled ankle, which is just a horrible blow for him because that's probably his season done for us. He's not going to play again. We might as well, we should be looking to sell him this window. We really should. It's just not right to have him at the club if he's never going to play. So the suggested team here is Kelleher in goal, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Nallo and Robertson, Elliott, Endo and Niani, Chiesa, Darwin and Diaz as a front three. There's a few other suggestions as well. One of which has Szoboszlai playing. I don't want to see Dom start, but I would understand that if he did, given he's been out sick. Arna's given an explanation as to why Harvey hasn't played, and actions over words is all I'll say. I just don't think he's got a future at the club long term. So I'd be surprised if he's here next year. I think he's one of a few I think will be on the out this summer. AnfieldIndex.com then, see what's new. I know we've got a whole bunch of podcasts. We are recording a Scouted podcast at 3 p.m. There's a piece on Szoboszlai's fitness. There's a piece on Harvey and interest from Dortmund. There's a couple of pieces about what David Lynch has had to say recently. There's some team news ahead of tomorrow's game. There is the David Lynch podcast, which you can listen to now. There is the Chat G&G. You can listen to Gags and Grizz and them having a chat about the transfer situation, specifically, obviously, that Kvaratskhelia news that came out yesterday. There is Arne Slot's press conference from today, and there is an additional Media Matters with David Lynch that was recorded yesterday, so it's out as well. So yeah, plenty there. So go and listen to all of it. We'll have a lot more. There is there's a Molby on the spot to come out. There's an Anfield Index podcast to come today, probably be out tomorrow, and there's something else, but it's escaping me. I don't think it's a rival recon because Harry only does them for the Premier League games. There is something else coming. It'll be a big surprise for you all. Right, that's going to do me. David Davis will be here over the weekend. So, enjoy. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save $28 or more when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had, with most clubs open 24 hours, so you can work out your way on your time. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 10th. See Home Club for details.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.